Spring's just around the corner, and I know as a gardener I can't wait to get out and start planting. But there's lots of you that find that super daunting. What do you choose? How big does it get? Where does it go? What does it need? Well, stick with me, I'll keep it simple, and we'll hone it down so you get the perfect plant palette. Morning.
Morning, how you going?
Morning. What are you hiding for? So let's make it as simple as possible. We'll break it down to 3 types of plants. Hedges, feature trees, and then we've got shrubs and perennials. Let's go shopping. Now, when it comes to hedges or screens, you want to look for plants that respond well to pruning for starters, so they'll thicken up and then you won't see through them and they're not wispy. I think of a hedge as a plant that you would box up and make it as neat as possible and probably prune it about 3 or 4 times a year. And screens are things you just plant and let them be and they'll fill the space. Now, one of my favourites is lily pillies. This one is called Sublime. It doesn't have that red new growth. The new growth's lime and light green. Now, when you're picking a hedge plant, strong leaders are fantastic. This one nearly stands at 6 foot tall, and lots of vertical branches. Now, you don't have to buy it this tall. You can buy little ones, but these ones are time savers. See? Screen me already. Now, I know I said I was going to keep this simple, but the most important thing you can do is read the tag that's on a plant so you get the right size plant for the right spot. Now, these lily pillies are maxed out between 4 and 5 metres. So if I want a hedge that's 2.1, it's relatively easy to look after. Now, when it comes to shrubs, some of them can still be hedges. And who doesn't love a gardenia? When these guys are flowering, you look like the best gardener in the street. Now, to keep them happy and healthy, feed them every season. If your leaves are yellowing off, give them a good slow release, put the water up to them and mulch underneath them. They respond really well to a haircut and they're relatively low care for how much they give back to your garden. Now, when it comes to feature trees, it's exactly what it is. It's a feature and it's a tree. I like these guys. Magnolia Little Jim. This one, beautiful height. By the time I put it in the ground, it's still going to be taller than me. And within a couple of years, it'll be 4 to 5 metres. It keeps its own shape. But as far as a feature in a front yard or in a courtyard, one of the best little trees you can buy. Dan, you're my seeing eye dog. Anyone in front? And then there's perennials. Now, I think of perennials as flowering plants in the garden that aren't annuals. They're things that flower their heads off, you give them a haircut, and then next year, they flower their head off. And then the next year, they flower their head off. And we'll grab some lavender as well because they're a perennial. Now, lots of people fail with lavender and ask me the question, oh, it only lasts a year, why did it die? Well, the number one thing they don't like is wet feet. They like it pretty dry. So if you've got a damp or wet garden bed, mound it up so that it's still free draining and have a little bit of discipline. After they flower, you need to give them a haircut. Take off all the flowers and about 10% of the foliage. Well, there you go, a garden on a trolley. All we've got to do now is place it out and plant it. So this is what I'm working with, a good-sized backyard that's had a granny flat dropped into it. So what we want to kind of do is give this house a little bit of privacy, but it's also doing something else here. It's going to provide a protection barrier from this rather large drop. So the lily pilly is going in here. Now, as far as spacing out your hedges, even though they say they'll get 4 metres wide, you'd never plant them 4 metres wide because the hedge will happen in about your lifetime. Anywhere from between about 800 mil to 1.2 metres is a good distance. And at the edge of the hedge, I'm going to put the feature tree. This is going to be a completely different shape and size, so it'll still be that feature. And it's kind of like a full stop for the hedge, and it leads you to the stairs, creating privacy for this space, but also interest about what's down there. And when it comes to doing a garden bed, when you're putting in different sized plants, start at the back, start with the biggest things and work your way down. It's important I put them in position so I can stand back, look at it, and like the final look. The good news about planting right now is this garden is just going to jump out of its skin. The days are getting longer, the ground's getting warmer, and the plants are ready to go. If you're still confused, take photos of gardens that you really like in your area because you know they work. Take it down to Bunnings, take it down the nursery and match the plants and you can copy the neighbour. Cut out the garden designer. Oh, just did myself out of a job. And when you put it in, water it and water it, and when you think you've watered it enough, water it a little bit more.